Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to discuss about the concept of ICMP sweep, or also we can call this ping sweep. Ping sweep. So ICMP sweep or ping sweep. So which is also formally known as a traceroute command. So a ping sweep is also known as ICMP sweep. It is a basic network scanning technique used to determine which range of IP addresses map to live hosts. So it is one type of network scanning technique which is determine the range of IP addresses are mapped to live hosts. Whereas a single ping will tell whether one specified host computer exists or not. So one ping can say that only one computer is existed on network. So which device is connected to the network, that's specified by only the single command ping command. But a ping sweep consists of ICMP echo requests sent to multiple hosts. So multiple multiple devices are connected to the network can be used by this ICMP sweep or ping sweep. To do this, what we need to require, the ping requires an address to send the echo requests to, which can be IP addresses or web server or domain name. So we can use any of the IP addresses or domain name, IP address or domain name. We need to specify that IP address or domain name. So the single ping can connect to the host which is available on the network, but ping sweep can be sent multiple echo requests sent to the multiple hosts connected to the network. So if given address is live, then it will return the ICMP reply. If it is not alive, then it is not able to give the reply. So to disable these ping sweeps on network, administrators can block ICMP requests from outside resources. So here from this slide, we have to understand that each single ping command communicates to the systems those who are connected to the network. Only one systems can be connected to the network. But ping sweep can be take the replies from multiple hosts connected to the network. And why are ping sweeps is very important? So to identify that active devices on the network, either it is printers, either it is a host, either it is any other devices, all the devices are connected to the network. Ping sweeps are also helpful to detecting unrecognized devices that may be malicious or ensuring devices are functioning correctly or not. So it identifies all the devices which are connected to the network are functioning trusted way or not. So all these devices are able to identify with the help of this ping sweep command. And understanding ping and ping sweep. So what is the difference between ping and ping sweep? We already said that a ping is a command which is used to find the device which is connected on the network in one way. But ping sweep can send multiple echo requests to the systems those who are connected to the network. So which are live or which are dead hosts. So it displays all the hosts are either live or either dead. So ping is available on any device connected to the network, and it is also command line utility, and it is a standard component of a network administrator's capabilities. But ping sweep is a more popular name for the ICMP sweep. You can pronounce it as ICMP sweep also. And in a simple way, diagnosing the potential network issues and identifying various IP addresses used by live or dead hosts. These hosts are typically computers, but anything can be host, including printers is one host, systems, websites, networks, and any devices. All these devices, all these systems, all these are connected to the network, are maybe alive or maybe dead. So with the help of this ping sweep command, I will get the details about the live hosts or dead hosts. Ping sweeps are key part of maintaining and improving the network security. ping sweeps are key part of maintaining and improving network security. They do what discovers which IP addresses are active or live on the network, which IP addresses are active or live on the network, and detect some malware devices or rogue devices connected to the network. Ensure that IP address on the network match the documentation. There are a number of tools can be used in the organizations to perform this ping sweep process. So here the one tool, Solar Winds IP Address Manager, is one tool. That is, we can call it as IPAM, Solar Winds IP Address Manager tool. Solar Winds Engineers Toolset, Parcel PRTG Network Monitor, and Ping Plotter Pro, IP Host Network Monitor, Manage Engine Op Manager, ZenMap or Nmap is one tool, and Pink is also one tool, and Advanced IP Scanner is one tool, and FPing is one tool, and Angry IP Scanner. So these are all the different tools that are used in the organizations to perform the ping sweep process. Here we understand the trace route command. So trace route, or you can say the trace route, it provides a map of how data on the internet travels from its source to destination. How many hops are used by the ICMP protocol to reach the destination. A trace route works by sending ICMP protocol packets, and every router involved in transferring the data gets these packets. So every router has to involve to transfer the data through themselves. The ICMP packets provides information about whether the routers used in the transmission are able to effectively transfer the data. So through the transmission media, all the routers are able to send the packets to the destination correctly or not, and transferring the data is qualitatively or not. So an IP tracer is helpful for figuring the routing hops data has to go through, as well as response delays as it travels across nodes. So if it sends from the source to destination, all the routers has to be visited by this data transmission. If any router is not available, then data has to be passed out to the next router. So here, which are what send the data towards to the destination. It enables you to locate where the data was unable to send along, so known as points of failure. So it identifies some point of failures and point of success. If the data transmitted from source to destination across the routers, if any router is not responsible in the sense, the router may get failure to the transmission of the data. So here we can say tracing route to the IARE.ac.in. So to contacting this IARE.ac.in, we have a maximum of 30 hops are visited. So to reach this destination from source to destination, it reaches a maximum of 30 hops, but out of those 30 hops, it reaches only 17 hops. So for each and every router, it has its own IP address. For each and every router, it has its own IP address, and for each and every router having a certain time for the transmission of the data. So here 258 milliseconds, third router is 43 milliseconds, fourth router is 66 milliseconds, fifth router 199. So like the way, and here you can see the 9th and 10th place, the routers are not responded. Hence, the data has to be passed out to the next router. So the data waiting for some time has to be timed out. Because of that router failure, the data has to be passed out to the next router. And again, next router having 88 milliseconds, and 12th router 65 milliseconds, 13th router 113 milliseconds. So like the way, the data has to be transmitted across all the routers to the destination by maintaining certain time across the routers. But if router not responded, then the data has to be passed out to the next router by providing this ICMP message requested timed out. Requested timed out. So these requested timed out messages are displayed with the help of these ICMP messages. ICMP messages. There are two types of messages already we discussed. One is error reporting message, second one is query messages. So here the requested timed out indicates that the query messages. And from this, the another technique, firewalk. So firewalk, what is meant by firewalk, and what it states in the scanning technique or reconnaissance technique. So firewalk is an active reconnaissance network security tool. It is one type of network security tool or technique that attempts to determine what layer 4 protocols given IP forwarding devices will pass. So what layer for protocols given IP forwarding device will pass. So firewalk is a network auditing tool, and we can also say that it is a network auditing tool that employs a technique such as a traceroute, ping, system info. These are all the commands which are employed by this auditing tool, firewalk auditing tool. It works by sending out TCP or UDP packets with a time to limit one hop greater than the targeted gateway. So each and every hop have certain time of packet transmission. If the gateway allows the traffic, it will forward the packets to the next hop, where they will expire and elicit a time to limit exceeded in the transmit range. If it is reaches to the maximum nodes, then it forward to the next nodes. If it reaches less amount of the time, then it has to wait for some time and then forward it. If the gateway host does not allow the traffic, it will likely drop the packets on the floor and we will see no response. So the data has to be lost out to the router and there is no response from the sender side. So by sending probes in a successive manner, recording one's answer and which one doesn't. So it may give the answer and which does not provide the answer. But however, the ICMP provides a certain types of messages. The access list on the gateway can be determined. Access list also in the gateway can be determined. Firewalks has in two phases. The first phase is what network discovery phase, and the second one is what scanning phase. So first of all, with the help of this ping command, whether the target is connected or not, whether the target connected is alive or not, it has to check with the help of this ping command. After that, the scanning phase has to be begin. The first one is what network discovery phase. After finishing the network discovery phase, then scanning phase will happen. So to get the correct IP that will result in expired packets when beyond the gateway, we need to ramp up hop counts. We need to ramp up all the hop counts. We do a TTL ramping in the same manner that traceroute works, and sending packets out with successively incremented IP TTL towards to the destination host. So once we know the gateway hop count, we can move on to the next phase. So once all the hop counts will be added into the list, then it moves to the next phase, the actual scanning phase. So the actual scanning is simple. The firewalks sends out TCP or UDP packets and sets a time dot. So for each and every packet transmission, it gives certain times, 0 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds, or 10 milliseconds, certain amount of time. If it receives a response before the time expires, the port is considered as open. If it does not gives a response, then the port gives as closed option. So when we contacted to the target system, it displays all the open ports and the closed ports. So some of the ports are open, some of the ports are closed. Like 443 is open, 83 is closed. Like that, some of the ports, all the ports are which are open or which are closed has to be displayed. So that is the scanning phase, and the first one is network discovery phase. By providing this packet ping command, we can identify that whether the target system is alive or not. If the target system is alive, then perform the scanning phase as a second phase. So in that performing scanning phase, it displays all the open ports and the closed ports along with their port numbers. So here we can understand that this is the firewalking host, and this is the internet, and this is the packet filter, and this is the destination host. So when we use the ping command to targeting the system, suppose this is the target system contains like 192.168.43.5. This is the target system, and this is the source system which contains 192.165.42.1, which the IP address wants to contact with this target system. There are two phases. First phase is what network discovery phase. Whether this network IP address is alive or not, it has to check. After identifying this as alive, then it forwards the number of packets to the destination, and each and every packet has to be founding with the help of count, with the help of time also. At that moment, to contacting this one, how many number of ports are open, how many number of ports are closed has to be displayed. So open ports how many, and closed ports are how many. So displaying all these ports are related to this hop count and packet transmission. So here the packet transmission, here packet filter has to be carried out the all packet drops during the transmission of the data. So here packet dropped here instead of target filter further down. Target filter further down. So this is the way the firewalk phases can work for the transmission of the data and targeting the system. And another technique, OS fingerprinting. OS fingerprinting is one type of scanning. So here, if a hacker can determine what type of operating system a targeted computer is running. So here, this is the scanning technique, which is only for used to find the targeting of operating system. Find the target of operating system. So he or she can work to exploit the vulnerabilities present in the operating system. Because to injecting some vulnerabilities injecting some exploits or attacks onto the system, they has to be known that operating system type. So here OS fingerprinting is used by the security professionals and hackers for mapping remote networks and determining which vulnerabilities might be present to exploit. So vulnerabilities are nothing but loopholes which are present to attacking the system. So the voice fingerprinting process generally used by the security professionals or hackers and other professionals. So to find out the vulnerabilities of the target system, the process voice fingerprinting is very helpful, and that is used by only ethical hackers. Ethical hackers to figure out what type of operating system is being used by the target computer on network. So ethical hackers only understand that the loopholes or vulnerabilities of the systems to attack on the target system. And OS fingerprinting works only for packets that containing full-fledged TCP connection, and that is the TCP connection should have like a synchronous acknowledgement and acknowledgement connections. So these are all the packets containing full-fledged TCP connection and as well as TCP scanning techniques also. We can say the TCP scanning mechanisms, synchronous mechanism, acknowledgement mechanism, synchronous or acknowledgement mechanism. So this is one type of scanning technique, especially to find out the vulnerabilities of the operating system to happening the attacks. So here we can have all these attacks. So OS fingerprinting attacks divided into two types. One is passive attacks, one is active OS fingerprinting. So one is passive OS fingerprinting, second one is active OS fingerprinting. So here the passive fingerprinting and network traffic analysis the main phase. So that is nothing but network analysis phase. And here the active phase, application level as well as TCP IP level. Application level is one phase, TCP IP and one phase. So in the network analysis phase, which is used as the techniques like P off, packet off and sniff off P3. And here application level banner grubbing and handshaking mechanism. And for the TCP IP stack, TCP responses, ICMP responses, ICN analysis, internet sequence number analysis, and time analysis. These are all some techniques or some methods to understand the TCP/IP mechanisms. TCP/IP mechanism, because which is used for to do the active scanning technique as OS fingerprinting. Active scanning technique by the OS fingerprinting technique. So here we can have different types of tools to perform this active scanning technique. Like Nessus is one tool performing this OS fingerprinting. Nmap is one tool. AMAP is one tool. Sniff F3 one tool. Xprobe is one tool. Xprobe, Nmap, Cron OS. These are all different types of network scanning technique tools to performing active scanning technique of OS fingerprinting. Active scanning technique of OS fingerprinting. And these are two fingerprints. There are two types of fingerprintings. One is active fingerprinting. Second one is passive fingerprinting. One is active fingerprinting. Second one is passive fingerprinting. And active OS fingerprinting, it involves actively determining a targeted PC OS by sending carefully crafted packets to the target system and examining the TCP/IP behavior of received responses. Examining the TCP/IP behavior of received responses. And active fingerprinting works by sending packets to the target, and analyzing the packets that are sent back. So, what packets are arrived to the destination has to be analyzed before sending. Almost all active fingerprinting these days done with the Nmap. So, almost all active fingerprinting techniques are all done with the help of Nmap tool. And passive OS fingerprinting. So passive OS fingerprinting is more effective way of avoiding a detection or being stopped by a firewall, and if examines of passively collected sample of packets from a host. So it uses PCAP, like Packet Capture API. Packet Capture API. It uses, with the help of this tool, the passive fingerprint can works. So passive OS fingerprinting is less accurate than active OS fingerprinting, but may be a technique chosen by an attacker or penetration tester who wants to avoid detection. They can use this passive OS fingerprinting. And passive OS fingerprinting can make a guess of a target's OS, because different OSs have different TCP/IP implementation. So here we can see the tool which is having Nmap is one tool which provides a certain procedure of scanning. So Nmap space -a host localhost. So it displays all the type of operating system, which type of operating system used, and what is the kernel name it is used, and what is the shell type which is used, and everything. So here we can see the first one is what it shown 995 closed ports, and open ports are 21 TCP, 22 TCP. These two ports are used, and using the services is what a TCP wrapped service, and SSH is also one type of service. And the second way, it displays that kernel type, Linux kernel type, and operating system is what Linux, and the CPE Linux kernel, and displays Linux kernel type. And third one, host script results. It displays the OS types, Unix. The server type is what Samba 3.6.9, and computer name is what Dalek, and the domain name, fully qualified domain name, net bias computer name, system time, and everything. So the service detection performed. So please report any incorrect results of HTTP. So done one IP address scanned in 17.61 seconds. So this is the way of doing the fingerprinting scanning technique. It displays all the types of operating system profile, which is like a type of operating system, type of kernel, type of server, and type of operating system, server, everything it displays the help of this scanning technique. So as we said in the screen, in the first line printout, discovered that Debian version of OpenSSH is running from port number 22. So the port is displayed and the version is Debian version displays. So that version of OpenSSH is only compatible with the Debian-based Linux distros such as Ubuntu, Xubuntu, and of course the original Debian. These are all the first displays. The second line indicated that the printout is information that came directly from OS kernel. Displays type of OS kernel, it's a Linux. The third line is information the Nmap scan got about the Samba server running. That server is running on a Linux operating system is Samba. It says I have Samba 3.6.9, the Unix version. Although the Unix and the GNU Linux kernels are different, Samba will say it's the Unix version for all Unix and Linux distributions. So for all the Linux and Unix distributions, this is the GNU or Linux kernel are different, and also the server Samba 3.6.9 is also 3.6.9 is also there. So like the way we can understand the scanning technique of OS fingerprinting. So let me revise the topics which we discussed in this session actually. So here we can understand that the ICMP sweep. So what is meant by ICMP sweep? And it is a type of network scanning technique which is used to determine the range of IP addresses are live or not, and why the ping sweeps are important to identify that all the hosts are detecting the unrecognized devices, whether it is malicious devices or something devices. And difference between ping and ping sweep. So ping displays only the communication of the target system which is alive or not, but ping sweep displays all the systems are contact to the target is alive or not. And these are the some tools the performing ping sweep operations: SolarWinds IP address manager, SolarWinds engineer toolset, PRTZ network monitor, ping plotter pro, IP host network monitor, manage engine op manager, Nmap, ping key tool, advanced IP scanner, fping, and angry IP scanner. Certain tools are used to perform this ping sweep. And trace route command, which is used to display the information of the routers, and which router having certain time to transmit the data from source to destination, or maximum of how many hops are counted, how many hops are used, and displays the messages with the help of ICMP messages. And the technique of firewalk. So what is meant by firewalk? It is a one type of active reconnaissance technique which is having the techniques like tracer, ping, system informer commands. And there are two phases. One is network discovery phase and the scanning phase. So network discovery phase connected to the network of the target which is having alive or dead. After aliving it counted to the scanning phase. And next OS fingerprinting phase. So fingerprinting is also one type of scanning technique which is used to find the vulnerabilities of the operating system. So there are two types of OS fingerprinting techniques: passive wire fingerprinting, active OS fingerprinting. So these are all some certain phases and certain tools that are used to perform the active OS fingerprinting. And these are the two types: active and passive OS fingerprinting. So this is the way of doing the scanning of OS fingerprinting to display about the operating system versions, operating system type, operating system server, and everything. This is all about the ICMP, ping sweep, and performing the scanning techniques of the operating system. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.